There is a population that should not exist. According to every historical record, the founders of Rome were local Italian tribes, descendants of the Latins who had always lived in those hills. But their DNA tells a different story. A story that contradicts 2,000 years of historical certainty. And it begins with two brothers who may never have been brothers at all. For centuries, we've accepted the myth. Romulus and Remus, abandoned infants, suckled by a she-wolf, destined to found the greatest empire the world would ever know. It's a beautiful story. Almost certainly false. But here's what's strange: even when we strip away the mythology and look at the actual archaeological evidence from early Rome, something doesn't add up. The people who built the first settlements on those 7 hills around 753 BCE should have been genetically similar to other Latin populations. They weren't. The surface explanation is straightforward. Rome began as a collection of pastoral communities, Latin-speaking herders who gradually coalesced into a city-state. This is what the textbooks say. It's what makes logical sense. But logic is not the same as truth. And when scientists finally extracted ancient DNA from burial sites dating to Rome's founding period, they discovered something that forced them to question everything. The genomes didn't match the local Italian profile. Instead, they revealed a complex mixture of populations that should not have been present in central Italy at that time. There were genetic signatures from the eastern Mediterranean, from Anatolia, from regions thousands of kilometers away. These people weren't just local tribes who decided to build a city. They were already a mixture. Already cosmopolitan. Already something entirely unexpected. This creates a problem. 3 theories have emerged to explain this anomaly. The first suggests that Rome was always a trading hub, attracting merchants and settlers from across the Mediterranean from its very inception. The second proposes that there was a mass migration into the region during the Bronze Age collapse, fundamentally reshaping the population before Rome was even founded. The third is more unsettling. What if the traditional dating is wrong? What if Rome is far older than we've been told, giving it centuries more time to absorb these diverse genetic influences? Then came the breakthrough. In 2019, a comprehensive study published in Science magazine analyzed DNA from 24 individuals buried in and around Rome, spanning a period from the Bronze Age to the Imperial era. The results were definitive. The genetic shift happened precisely during the period traditionally associated with Rome's founding. This wasn't gradual change over centuries. This was rapid, dramatic population replacement occurring within just a few generations. Here's where it gets strange. The DNA didn't just show mixture. It showed something more specific. The early Romans carried genetic markers associated with the Yamnaya culture, pastoral nomads from the Pontic-Caspian steppe who had swept across Europe centuries earlier. But they also carried markers from populations in the Near East, particularly around modern-day Iran and the Caucasus. These two groups should not have been mixing in central Italy at this time. The only explanation is that Rome was founded not by indigenous people, but by a mobile, already mixed population that arrived from somewhere else entirely. But there's a deeper layer. When researchers examined the Y chromosome data, looking at paternal lineages, they found something remarkable. The genetic diversity was far higher than expected for a small founding population. This suggests that Rome wasn't founded by a single tribe or family group. It was founded by multiple distinct groups arriving simultaneously, or in rapid succession, who immediately began intermarrying. This is not how cities typically form. This is how colonies are established. Or refuges. Or something else entirely. Imagine standing on those hills 3,000 years ago. You're not watching the birth of a local village. You're witnessing the arrival of people who have traveled from distant lands, carrying with them knowledge, technology, and genes from across the known world. They didn't gradually become cosmopolitan. They arrived that way. The myth of the she-wolf nursing twin founders might be fiction. But the reality is perhaps more fascinating. Rome was born from convergence, from the meeting point of civilizations, from people who had already seen the world and chosen this specific place to build something new. And this matters because it changes how we understand civilization itself. We tend to think of great cities as organic growths, emerging naturally from the land and the people who inhabit it. But Rome suggests something different. That the most enduring civilizations are not those that grow from isolation, but those born from collision. From the friction of different peoples, different ideas, different ways of being forced together in one place. The DNA doesn't lie. Rome was never purely Roman. It was always a mixture. Always a mystery. Always something more complex than the stories we tell about it. Perhaps that's the real secret hidden in those ancient genomes. Not who Romulus and Remus really were, but what they represent. The moment when scattered peoples chose to become something together. The moment when difference stopped being a barrier and became the foundation. We wanted founders who were brothers, raised by a wolf, destined for greatness. The truth is messier, more human, more remarkable. They were strangers who became neighbors. Neighbors who became citizens. Citizens who built an empire. And in their DNA, written in the language of nucleotides and base pairs, we find not a myth of origin, but a mirror. Showing us that we, too, are never just one thing. Never just from one place. Always becoming. Always arriving. Always, in our own way, founding Rome again.